Hey, it's Drybear. And the First Descendant Season 3 Episode 2 is finally live. We've got a bunch of new content in the game, so today, as we usually do, we're going to dive in and see what's in the patch. And since it is a brand new major update for the game, it does include a new storyline as well, so if you want to find out what's going on with Karel and why Alpha has been missing for months at a time now, hopefully he's still okay, that is still in the game. You'll see a purple quest online in Albion, so you can go run and check that out, and I'll let you deal with the experience of unlocking the story and seeing what happens without any spoilers here. Now, for most of the new content, you'll be picking this up inside the new dungeon, and this time around it is still an infiltration operation, which means you're going to do it through the dungeon queue, but it is localized inside of Axian Plains this time around, and it is pretty cool. It's a new map, a new area, new boss. I will note that the boss on this one does have a large amount of HP, so I found myself, especially if I was queuing in groups, running bossing builds just to help kill the boss at the end, because my god, he is a tanky boy, but he's got some cool new mechanics and visuals and things like that that I think are really cool. Which if you physically go to Axian Plains, there is a queue for that you can queue for here directly on the map, but of course you can always, in Albion, go over to the infiltration operation console and click this up, and then you'll be able to find it under the hard category, going down here to the super massive receptor. Now inside of this you will find the Mutant Cell Box C, as well as all of the pieces for Harris, as well as all the pieces for the new Hive Master, as well as the materials that you need in order to pick up or craft the materials for Harris. So you will be getting a special material from this, very similar to Void Vessel, but without the encryption keys. It's also worth noting that there is a weekly event that you can complete in order to get more materials and some cosmetics and stuff on this, so make sure that you're running the dungeon. You're gonna have to run a bunch of it anyway to get the new stuff, so just be aware. In Supermassive Receptor is the place where you'll pick up the new 2 Haley red modules, Camouflage Sniping and Cold Heart, as well as Harris's Transcendent modules as well. So if you either get these through combining like I did, where you can just save up a bunch of red mods and combine them when the new patch comes out, or if you're trying to target farm them, you're going to be running this anyways, you can get these from this location. Next, we got the latest Descendant Harris, and I am going to farm her naturally instead of picking her up through the store, and so it's going to take some time to explore what she's capable of, but she's got a pretty cool kit, some combination of high mobility as well as grouping mechanics, which we definitely need more of. There's only a handful of Descendants in the game right now that can do towing, so being able to group, even in a small amount like Harris has, is still useful and interesting. Now, she is a toxic Descendant, which means we get another one of those, which is really strong. She is also tech along with fusion on her abilities too, so you'll be able to combine those together to make some pretty interesting builds. And let me know what your perspective is on Harris in general, how she fits into the story, how she fits into the meta, and introducing more mechanics that we can play along with, and also just kind of knowing what's coming. We know there's Ultimate Eugen on the way. We know that next year they did promise that we're going to be doing Daya as a Descendant too, but it's kind of cool that we have another construction worker coming into the mainline cast. Next up, we got 2 new ultimate weapons, a brand new sword and a brand new tactical rifle, which is easily one of the most unique styled weapons that we've gotten so far. And since we already have 2 swords, an impact round and a high-powered round option, they're adding a new one, which is going to be called Hypernova, and this new one is actually way faster, and for the same reason that I like Harris, because she has a grouping mechanic as part of her kit, this one also does have a grouping mechanic on its regular, like, special ability. They've got some cool skins and stuff to add to it as well, but if you like the super fast slice and dice, hack and slash style sword, you can pick that up. Now, this is not a sword you're going to be farming. This is a Battle Pass sword as well, so either pick it up through the Battle Pass official or grab it here, but this is the sword that you're going to pick up. It's got a cool little vibe to it, and even got a nice little, like, explanation here. It talks about how it can grab an area and pull all enemies in, which is super useful, especially for a melee weapon where you can hack and slash and slice through enemies. Grouping them up is super powerful. Next up is the Hive Master, and not only is it just one of the most wicked designs they've added, it's very StarCraftian, you know, goopy alien vibe going on. It's obviously a Vulgus weapon that we just stole and decided to use for ourselves, but what's unique about it is the ability allows you to put a bug on the enemy, and then when you deal damage to the target that has the bug floating above their head, it does like zaps of lightning all around you, dealing damage to targets that are nearby. which kind of puts it in the category of like a Greg's Reverse Fate, where it does have a single target component as well as an AoE component as you use it, and it even has an increased chance to proc when you're using multi-hit. So any multi-hit builds will benefit a lot, as you can see down here at the bottom, will benefit a lot from using this weapon. Now, one of the biggest additions to the new patch is the Ancestor Modules, which gives us another source of power that didn't exist before and has actually been very heavily coveted by the systems that exist in the game with the Ancestor Modules. When you're doing the new dungeons, one of the sources that you get the Ancestor Modules on, they are limited by the amount that you can get each week, but they're super strong and worth chasing after. And these are these right here. Each Descendant in the game has one that they can pull, and these will be a crazy source of power. So for example, if you look at the ones we have here, I even got a pretty lucky drop on one of these, but you'll notice that the stat rolls for these specific modules are the same stats that roll on actual reactors. So things like skill power boost, skill crit, crit rate, things like that, all of the stats that you would normally get from a reactor, most of them anyways, can drop on these modules. And it's not something that goes in the existing system. It's not mutually exclusive. You can actually put these directly in your normal module slots, and there's a couple things that you need to know about them. As I mentioned, they do roll with the natural stats. You can see I got pretty lucky with this one. Skill crit rate, skill cost, and chill power for a Haley Ancestor Module is pretty good, but these are all entirely random. That's the first thing to know about them. As you're rolling these, they will roll with a random set of stats, one downside for the Kiss Curse that they like, as well as a couple stats here. Another thing to note about this is the number of stats affects how much the stats will scale. So if it has less total number of beneficial or bonus stats on it, then it will have a higher value. And if it's more stats, those individual stats will be lower. There's an overall like total value that can come from a single Ancestor Module. And so sometimes you may want 1 or 2 stats on it to get those stats as high as possible, or maybe you want 3 stats on it to be able to increase the breadth that the module can provide. But it's super interesting because now you can get reactor level stats inside of a module, and since it's not part of the existing module system, it doesn't belong to the mutually exclusive trigger category system that we have. So things like, you know, having the battle category on this means you can only have 1 battle module. Having defense, only 1 defense module. Luck, strike, fortitude, arcade tech, all of these are limited to a single use of the category, but because this doesn't belong to any of the categories other than Ancestor, but you only have 1 per character anyways, it means that it gives us an additional source of power that didn't exist before. Now, this will encourage people to run, you know, sometimes more glass cannon builds, but it gives us a nice boost, and honestly, we kind of need it, because since the new medium-sized Void Vessel, as well as the Axiom Planes, and the brand new Superconductor Dungeon, a lot of the mobs and special mobs and commander mobs have been getting tankier and more dangerous. And so we're scaling with that with the Ancestor Module here. The other thing to note is you notice there, this one's pretty wild. You see the underneath the Ancestors, it says required mastery rank 30. And so it will actually, one of the stats that will randomly roll on the Ancestor Modules is the required MR rank that you need in order to equip it. And so you can see I did get a decent drop on this, but it also rolled Mastery 30, which for me is not a problem, but I imagine for some people it is going to be. Now, randoms between Mastery 10 and Mastery 30, I feel like they should probably bring the top down, or the top end down a little bit. I feel like having Mastery 30 as a requirement is pretty high for some players, and, you know, I'm just saying that as a veteran who doesn't really have this as a problem. I can imagine, you know, intermediate or brand new players seeing this as a pretty daunting task, because you'll have to go and actually farm up all of the weapons and all of the characters and all of the hover bikes and all the fellows in order to use the module, but it is part of that, so just keep that in mind. Now, these modules can be re-rolled, so you'll be able to go to the module area, and if you didn't get stats that you liked, you can spend a price in order to re-roll to get new stats. So if you come here to our module area, our big buddy over here, Cillian, actually had to step to the side. So this new area is for Ancestor Modules, and then for all the normal module activities that you would normally engage with are going to be here with him, and you can come over here to the module adjuster. You can dismantle Ancestor Modules if you don't want them, and you can readjust them as well. So we can grab this one here. You can see this one is for Bunny, but it rolled all blue stats. No downside, which is kind of cool, but all blue stats. Let's see if we can just give this a reroll. So you can see that it costs the special material that you'll get in the new Superconductor Dungeon, so you'll have to collect these in order to reroll them, and additionally, it will cost both both gold and Kuiper in order to do it, and you can see all the stats that it could possibly roll here as well. So since they are limited by character, it'll be the correct element type for that character. So this is a bunny module. It is electric skill power boost there, but you can get defensive stats, you can get skill crit rate, you can get skill type modifiers, duration, range, cost, and cooldown as well. Cooldown is actually a big one as well because we're so limited by the number of modules that we can use to add cooldown to a build, and there are still builds today that typically are close to having the right cooldown, but they're capped out, right? It's like 74% cooldown reduction that you can get, but there's some builds like Valby Water Play or some of the unique weapon builds where you can get close to the cooldown that you want, or even like Viessa or Inez if you're doing like the Inez like slam build. Those tend to get like kind of close, but a lot of times you have to run like the Bravery set just to get that extra bit of cooldown. But now that we can get another module that exists outside of that ecosystem that can roll cooldown, it's pretty cool. So you can see the stats here, and then sometimes it'll roll that. So let's run this once just so we can see what it looks like, so we can just hit the readjustment. You can see that when we do the readjustment, it re-rolled everything, right? So it's just a random new set of stats, and it shows on the module how many times it's been re-rolled. So we went from cooldown, defense, skill, crit rate to crit damage, electric power, singular power, and max MP. So this one's actually not that bad, because if you're running like a singular style like bunny build, especially if you're using crit, you can see we got electric, singular, and skill crit damage. These can end up being a large boost to any build in the game, but they're going to be a lot harder to get the right stats on it that you want. Next, there are a couple things on this because it might be kind of confusing to find these since they are Transcendent modules, but a lot of times they'll get buried in here as well. You can filter by just Transcendent modules, and they do count as Transcendent modules as well, but they've added a couple other ways to help you find them. Down here at the bottom, you see view modules for current Descendant only. You can go to view Ancestor modules. You can actually turn off the current Descendant only, but it allows you to say, even when you don't filter by it, you can do Descendant only and view Ancestor modules just to help you find them. But also on the module itself, they have a register attached item option, which means you can favorite it and it allows you to help you find it if you're looking for it, just because there's so many modules in the game right now. Next, another note, which realistically isn't going to be something you're going to actively think about, but I think it's worth noting so that everyone is aware that it exists. So if you, this one took a second to find. So if you go to your actual, like if you go to your inventory screen and then press W, which brings up this screen, which is your stat screen or your your info screen, inside of this screen, if you go down to the bottom here under sub, there is a synchronization value, which allows them to scale up or down the power of Ancestor modules. This is a stat that gets applied to the Descendant itself. So you'll notice that this is not on a module, this is on the Descendant themselves, and this is a value that they're going to use to be able to scale up or down the efficacy of the Ancestor modules in the game based on whatever balance analysis that they're trying to do. Now on the patch notes, they mentioned that Ancestor modules are going to be affected by the synchronization value. You can view this on the info screen, and the higher the value, the higher the minimum and maximum option values for that Descendant's Ancestor module, which means the lowest possible roll is going to be raised and the highest possible roll is going to be raised as well, which means that they're going to use this as another knob that allows them to dial the balance for the characters. Now, like I mentioned, most players aren't going to care about this. They're going to look at the value of their Ancestor module, and if the synchronization changes, it goes up or down, whatever, it's just going to be what it is. It's not something you're going to plan around. It's just something that's worth knowing. They even go on to say that it's planned to be adjusted by the following schedule. At the start of a new season or episode, adjustments will be made only for Descendants through balance analysis. So it sounds like they don't plan to do it during a kind of season run, but at the start of it, they may change these values based on what Descendants need it. During rework or rebalance updates, adjustments will apply only to Descendants undergoing rework or rebalance. Some Descendants have synchronization values based on their lower end performance. If the lower end performance improves through a rework or rebalance, its synchronization value will also be adjusted to prevent excessive upper end. And they also mentioned that the performance of existing modules will automatically be updated when the synchronization value changes. So basically, it's a per Descendant scaler that they will change based on their own discretion that may make Ancestor modules weaker or stronger based on the performance of a character. And since we know that they are very averse to doing nerfs at any point in time, this value will probably only ever go up if it really needs to. But you can already see when I was on Haley, it was 0.48. When I'm on Ultimate Ajax, it's 1.21. So I guess depending on the character, you might see some pretty wild changes in value. Next, it's worth noting the sources of these Ancestor modules because they are time gated, which means there's only a certain number of Ancestor modules that you can farm each week. And if you're serious about getting these, as they are a great source of power, you're going to want to do these regularly. So the new Supermassive Receptor weekly bonus, you get 1 per bonus up to 10, which means that every week, if you're serious, you want to be farming 10 of these modules from the Supermassive Receptor dungeon. You can do it from the energy stabilization rating, from the bonus high risk difficulty for Sigma, the quality certified ETA, so ETA 0 will have up to 5 available for purchase as well. And if you defeat the Dimensional Breach, Colossus, and Axian Plains Wall Crasher, you have a chance to drop it on defeat as well. So make sure you're farming these because they are limited on how many you can get. So make sure you're trying to get as many as you're comfortably able to get based on your schedule each week. It's also worth noting the growing cost of the re-rolls in general. So this is when you re-roll an Ancestor module, the cost that it will be when you re-roll it. So the first time you re-roll it, it'll be 10,000 Kuiper shards, 30,000 gold, as we just saw, but that number increases up to the 10th re-roll and beyond, where it locks, where it could be 890,000 Kuiper shards and 2.67 million gold, which is quite a lot. The gold is kind of inconsequential, but I think the Kuiper amount is actually quite large, unless you're regularly dismantling trigger modules, which is a good source of Kuiper, but this is going to be a big part of it. So you're going to be farming these Ancestor modules and then re-rolling them, but as you keep re-rolling them, they will cost more and more until it eventually locks out. Now, the other source of Ancestor modules is going to be player-to-player trading. So if you didn't know, they're adding player trading to the game in a couple weeks, which will allow you to trade with other players for caliber in order to get either trigger modules or Ancestor modules. So someone might be able to farm up a really strong Ancestor module and then trade it to other players just to kind of get some from that, which means that free-to-play players will have some way to get caliber from other players by trading this with them as well. And they recently changed the tax fee from being caliber to just gold, which means that it's just going to be a net positive for the people that are farming it. And if you want the best rolled ones, it likely will be either a lot of patience in farming it or getting it from other players as a process there. But because they wanted to make some changes to the system, they ended up pushing that back a little bit, so you're not going to have that right away. Additionally, keep in mind, they also mentioned that the brand new modules that get added to the game are going to have a 1-month grace period before they can be traded, and this does include the Ancestor modules and the brand new trigger modules as well, which means you might have to wait a month when they after they come out in order to either sell them to other players or get them from another player if you want a really good one. Additionally, they added a bunch of new modules for Descendants as well, of various different categories, arcade tech, support tech, things like that. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them because there are quite a lot of them. There's over 20 of them, but some of these are pretty cool. Melee weapon scaling, being able to get mana back or ammo back when using melee weapons. So some pretty cool ones in here. Battle proficiency as well, giving some other things there. Melee, a lot of them focus on melee, but there's a bunch of new modules to check out outside of just the Ancestor modules, so you can grab those as well. And there's 3 new trigger modules too. I'm pretty excited to try Steel Vanguard on characters like Ajax just to see how it scales, but brand new trigger modules that you can farm through the new activities, which is pretty cool, and we'll just see how these end up applying to builds once we get through theory crafting. Next, there is a brand new battle pass that you'll want to farm up as well. This one does include the new Hypernova sword. It's got a couple cool skins in it as well from the characters, like Descendant skins that you can pick up too, so you can go through these. There's also some cool weapon skins like the Demon Bane for our Deus Ex Manus, which is actually pretty sweet. So this one's got some cool vibes to it, which I think kind of fits the sword and the aesthetic. There's also the new Exo Knight skin, which is the old medieval but kind of sci-fi modified onto it as well. There's even a new matter rearrangement teleport effect. There's new skins like the safety baton for the new Hypernova sword that you can pick up as well, and then there's 2 different versions of the Exo Knight as part of it. And as per usual, we've got the supply shop, which got this one's kind of funky for a Luna, very Luna vibe, like the multicolored with the side ponytail as that as well. Some new ones for Ajax, some new armor there too, or for Kyle, it's new armor there too. And of course, if you want to, you can pick up the original Harris look that she had when she was an Albion, not when she was a Descendant. So you can pick that up just like they did for Nell. On top of the Descendant modules and the trigger modules and the Ancestor modules, there's also brand new Mutant Cells as well that have all kinds of effects. So there's now a Mutant Cell Box C that you can pick up. There's things like Recover MP, which gives you MP recovery every time you use a skill for spamming skills and things like that. There's some pretty cool ones in here that I think will make some pretty cool options for using these Mutant Cells, and a lot of it comes down to just being able to put them in the right corner. I still think there's some modifications they could make to the arcade tuning tree for placing some of these in the right spot so that they can be available. But some of these, like this one, is literally just skill crit hit damage. So just having more of these, more options for these is going to be useful for a lot of builds, giving them more opportunities to scale and modify how they play. There is also 2 new external components. So again, just adding more to these so we can pick up and use more of them as we play. The first one is Hazmat Disposal Team. This one on the 2 set gives max shield to help a lot of those shield builds we've been seeing popping up over the last couple months. So if you wanted to use this on a 2 set for characters like Kyle or things like that for shield scaling, you can do this on the 2 set. And then the 4 set allows you to stack up a bonus, which gives you skill cooldown, but then lowers dimension and singular damage in order to add toxic skill power. So we're going to see not only Harris, but also like Keelan and Freyna that can benefit from this as well. So that's one of the sets that got added. And then we also got the pulsating power processor. On the 2 set, it's toxin resistance, which in my opinion is completely useless. I don't think resistance has ever been useful in this game in general, but it does allow another stack up that allows you to increase emission type, skill power, and skill cost on top of it as well. So you can actually add in more emission types. So for the channeling skills that we have in the game, it just gives you a way to add this on the 4 set, which is pretty neat. It's a new season, so we've got a new inversion reinforcement. There are some interesting ones in here, like we have the usual suspects in the top 4 categories, but then we have things for like melee weapon hits as well. As per usual, we have the seasonal battle pass weapon Hypernova as a bonus here. So if you're going to be using Hypernova, you probably want to pick up the superheated plasma for the inversion reinforcement here. We've got Hive Master in here as well, and shield bonuses, shield recovery, things like that. A small little addition is this guy here. So we have the Descendant instructor who's always beat booped at us over the year that we've been playing, but we have data analyst as well. And so this one will give you little submissions that you can pick up. And this is, there currently is no rewards for this, but it is a way for you to kind of go out and survey areas, and it gives you more backstory and lore on the area that you're doing. So right next to the Descendant instructor is this new guy that you can chat with. Additionally, we've got new leaderboard rewards for the Void Erosion Purge Challenge leaderboard. If you wanted to kind of jump in on that, I would imagine that a lot of people that are going to be pushing leaderboards this season are going to be getting the best Ancestor modules as a big bonus, because that's going to be a new scaler that we didn't have before. But just be aware that the leaderboards are going to have new rewards available for them too. Next, we've got an update to the photo mode, which is kind of interesting. This is something they've been working on for pretty much every patch. So we have the normal mode here for photo, but you see this tag here on the right side, a new lighting option. So you can actually add in lights and then move them around to give different vibes and looks and stuff for that character. So if you wanted to do a sphere light, you can like increase the intensity of it. You can change the distance. You can change the color as well. So turn it into different colors if you wanted to, like just get a specific thing. Change the saturation, which is kind of cool. So you can actually get like based on the color that you're adding, you can do shadows. So you see how like it casts a shadow versus not. It actually is a pretty cool option. And because they have this, right, you can actually add in multiple lights that have different effects. So it's like a focus light versus like just a spherical light on how it focuses, increase the intensity. And you can see we have the blue one still shining there. And now we've got ourselves like the purple pink one. So if you wanted to create some cool photos, you certainly could. And now this is another option that they added to it, which is nice because sometimes you're just in a dark area and it's hard to see. Another big note here is if you're trying to get the Abyss skins, they are going away. So the 2 Abyss skins that we've had right here that you want to pick up, which are pretty cool, like the Stormhanger one, as well as the one for the big boy here. So these are going to be going away December 4th and just going to be gone. So Intercept Battle Roars will only be available for purchase after the maintenance on December 4th. So just make sure, in less than a month now, if you do want to get these skins, and I do recommend, they're 2 of the best that we've seen so far. We got like our Turtle Lava Citadel skin as well. And this one's mega cool too, like the Stormhanger one. So I would recommend if you have the tickets and you still want to get them, make sure you're going to ETA 0 and picking them up before they're gone for good. And yes, you can still do Lava Citadel at this current moment. So if you wanted to clear this out in order to get the tickets, you still can, but the time is running out. Next up, we've got balance reworks, and I'm pretty excited to test out the new Haley as well. So we can see that Haley got weak point damage increase from safe strategic retreat. Basically, all of her skills are going up. Cryo round went from 93.8 to 469. Storm snare has the beam damage going from 8,900 to 17.7k%. The burn damage as well from the beam, 4,500 to 8,900. So massive skill damage increase for Haley. Cold Fury, the movement speed got, cut in more than half as well. There's also a new red module that completely removes it from her kit too, which is pretty cool. And the stacking time time has been greatly increased and sped up as well. The Zenith firearm attack power got reduced, but the unique weapon additional damage skill power went up by, what, 1,300% on that. You also get more bonuses granted based on cores that you can add to it as well, which as far as I can tell is only really how many cores you have on your weapon. So you don't have cores on your weapon at all. I thought they were going to be able to slot this into the unique weapon. I haven't found any way, like I've been kind of testing and looking around. I haven't seen anything here. I think it just is a flat bonus. So rounds per magazine, firearm crit hit damage, weak point damage, chill skill power, and damage reduction if you have cores on your weapon while you go into Zenith, which is again just a free bonus to Haley. Also messed with the red module, so cryogenic cluster shot had its effect explosion massively increased. This is like almost order of magnitude difference there. Max projectile count, max targets hit, super cooled Kuiper round as well, got the same benefit from that as well, since it is kind of a little bit different there. And then we also have two new red modules, camouflage sniping and cold heart. One of them allows you to turn your ultimate into just a basic AoE skill, and the other one allows you to remove, like scale up all your abilities based on the same ability type, as well as allow you to remove the movement speed slow on her ability as well. For Luna, we're seeing that the note timing has been improved, so it makes it easier to hit the notes, so it's a little bit easier, especially when you're kind of like in a lagged environment, like you're lagging a little bit, it's a little bit easier to pick that up as well. So they also improved the targets on it too. They added a maximum applicable amount to max in MP scaling effects. They made some adjustments to like passionate stage, aggressive melody, singer's melody, that sort of thing. When it comes to Inez, we've got maximum applicable amount of MP scaling as well, just to make sure that's kind of limited, especially since you can now get, you know, max MP on the new Ancestor modules. And again, for Glay, same thing for the unique weapon, you get 5 bonuses on her skills when she's using her unique weapon based on the number of cores that you have. So you have fire rate 20%, which for Glay is massive. That's a huge increase for her power. It's one of her strongest effects. Firearm attack 80%, weak point damage, bonus firearm burst Colossus 550, and skill power as well. So both Haley and Glay, the first round of this kind of weapon core scaling unique weapon effect, and these are pretty strong. These are actually really strong bonuses. And make sure you're logging every day to get the new bonuses. We've got a whole bunch of new login rewards with, you know, like some makeup and thing like that, as well as a new skin, the cleaning service that you can pick up at the end. It does have a photon imprinter, which is worth chasing after. We don't get these all that often, so they're worth getting every time they do show up. And a new Bayonetta event as well, that you can pick up things like the encryption keys for the Void Vessel, which is super useful, and a bunch of other events, as well as the new Come On emote that I'm sure the TFD community will go wild over, so just make sure you're picking these up as part of this event too. Which is a perfect segue into the new collaboration with Bayonetta. So we already had our 2B and A2 skins in the game, as well as a collaboration, and now we've got Bayonetta. Honestly, I think this is a perfect fit for Glay. Even just like the face card just like fits really well, and they've got some cool, you know, it comes with the skin, it comes with its own little pistol for the last dagger, it's got like the new spawn animation, which is pretty cool, and of course it's got the makeup with the mole on it as well, if you're looking for that too. So you've got this as an option. These, you know, the last one showed up and hasn't returned, so if you really care about Bayonetta, this would be something to pick up. It does have a couple variants as well, and does include the emotes, so if you want the style of, you know, Bayonetta, if that's something that you're into, these are something that you can pick up. There's also the new like purple quality Harris skin that you can pick up too. It's got like the bell bottoms, and this honestly is just screams Tekken to me in general, but you got a couple different like makeup styles and hairstyles and stuff that you can pick up as part of a Harris bundle. We've also got the Lightbringer skin for the new Hypernova, and boy is this the Lightbringer, look how shiny it is. We've also got the new, this is like so Ghost in the Shell, Cyberpunk 2077 kind of vibe, or Edge Runners vibe. Like this is very Ghost in the Shell, but it's a new Nell skin. This is a purple quality skin if you wanted to pick it up, which is, you know, if you like Ghost in the Shell, then go for it. As well as the new purple skin for Valby with a pretty cool gradient on it. You can play around with the paints here. It's got like this little mantle cloak and then the special helmet, which is very Valby-esque. And personally, at first I wasn't super impressed with the skin, but again, because it has the built-in gradient as part of it, playing around with the color scheme and messing around with the paints can actually create some pretty unique looks for Valby especially. We've even got even more gameplay modifiers as well. So for infiltration operations and some field missions, they went through and modified some of the wait times, spawn times, and the distance between spawns as well, just making them improved overall. They also made it so when you're on Void Erosion Purge challenge difficulty, it will always drop mana drops, so for the builds that need mana and weren't getting enough of it. And they also lowered the difficulty of mobs in the medium-sized Void Vessel mission on 3 and 4 player difficulties. I think they need to do this probably with the new dungeon as well. Honestly, like this new boss on the new dungeon, his HP in 4-man is ridiculously high. So hopefully they do that in the new dungeon as well. Wall Crasher has been rebalanced to try and make it in a very tactical way, less Serena focused. So what they did is they account the addition of multi-hit resistance and multi-hit damage. So they lowered the overall HP value on Wall Crasher, but made him more resistant to multi-hit damage, which is basically a direct nerf to Serena specifically. So now you don't need Serena's as much as you did before, you know, because the HP overall is lower, but now Serena's going to be less of that implication. And you can see it was a pretty sizable nerf on HP. So max HP going down by a large amount here. So HP went down by almost 700 million damage, and the max shield went down by almost 400 million shield. So that is a large amount of HP being removed. And lastly, we got a bunch of bug fixes in here. I don't think there's any major ones in here overall, but I'll just scroll through them so you can see where the bug fixes are. They did some fixes and some cleanups on the UI, miscellaneous, and some other things that were being kind of annoying with how they functioned and how they worked in the game. And that's it. That is the Season 3 Episode 2 patch. A bunch of stuff being added, a lot of new stuff to farm, so let me know what your perspective is on it, whether you like the patch or what your, perspective is, what your gripes are, what you're excited about, what you're farming for, and what you're experiencing with this patch as well. But this is definitely one of the bigger ones they've had to date. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.